Kazuha is a very strong unit, and strong is not a word I often use. I think he is easily 4 out of 5, meaning that if you like his design or if you like his gameplay, he's gonna be an amazing pull for your account. However, that does not mean that he's a must pull. In fact, he is very far from being a necessity. Hey, welcome to day 1 impression of Kazuha. Kazuha has been out on Asia server for almost 20 hours now. After doing some research about CM player impression, looking at calculation done by keqing main freecrafter, playtesting him for hours on different team comp on stream, here are my day 1 impression. Usually, I just try to get a edited analysis video just before the weekend for the player who are coming home to relax from work, and it's not too late from the usual clickbait algorithm war which lie between here. But the nature of Kazuha is that because he works with every character, he's gonna be harder and take longer to free craft. We're gonna have to check every character to see how well they work with Kazuha. More importantly is that I got my second dose of Visor today, so the chances of me being able to work on an edited video is pretty low. And it seems like the algorithm race is pretty fast this time, with video uploaded just 2 hours after the Acer release. So I decided to do this first impression video to give you an idea of Kazuha from my perspective. Let me know if you would like more first impression video in the future. And of course, with every first impression video on the internet, including this one, take day 1 impression with a grain of salt, and ultimately, you should be thinking about it for yourself if he's really worth your primo. First thing first, Kazuha's elemental buff is not rainbow. Here I apply Hydro with Xingqiu's, and I swirl this Hydro with Kazuha. You'll notice that my Diluc does not get Pyro damage bonus, but instead he got Hydro damage bonus because I swirled Hydro. Once again, Kazuha is very strong at a 4 out of 5 rating for me, or a very good pull. The thing about Kazuha is that he's an enamel character, which means you can easily put him into almost any team. With the elemental mastery buff in 1.6, Kazuha can able to do a huge amount of damage while simultaneously buffing your carry. Some of the teams you can play with Kazuha are, for example, the Chinese national team with Xiangling, Xingqiu, and Bennett. In this team, you swirl Pyro, reducing the Pyro resistance while buffing the Pyro damage of your Xiangling. And more importantly, you can do that while doing good amount of damage on Kazuha, getting good CC on Kazuha with its elemental skills, and potentially more. Similarly, even though you cannot swirl Enamel or Geo, you can even still put him with Xiao, just acting as an Enamel battery and building traditional DPS on Kazuha. You can even do a typical Venti Jean team, but except with Kazuha and Jean, just in case you don't have Venti. Or perhaps the infamous Morgana team with Kazuha, Ganyu, Mona, and Diona. These are all really good teams that I have playtested throughout the stream, and they perform really well. But no matter which team count you look at, you gotta ask yourself a question: is Kazuha here better than the alternative? For example, in the Morgana team, is he better than Venti? Can he work as a Venti replacement? And while he can replace Venti as a substitute, he is most certainly not better than Venti. So the question becomes, why would I run Kazuha when I can just run Venti? In this frame, you can see that my Ganyu is just a little bit energy away from getting her elemental burst up. And guess what? With Venti's 15 energy refund, I would have been able to get that Ganyu elemental burst up and continue on the infinite chain of elemental burst that the Morgana team is the most famous for. This is also the same situation for Kazuha. With Venti getting energy recharge as his ascension stat, on top of the fact that your elemental burst will refund 15 energy for yourself, which is Venti. Getting Venti's elemental burst back up in time in a team like Morgana is very easy and very comfortable. For Kazuha, this is not the case at all. Without those two to support Kazuha, it is not too surprising that he has energy issues, although very minor. Most Chinese players are actually switching away from Iron String into running either a Felonious Sword or a Sacrificial Sword, assuming that you're not running with another Enamel character. And from here on, once again we ask, what do Kazuha do better than other characters? Specifically, what do Kazuha do better than Sucrose? It doesn't suck the two treasure hoarder in. Arguably, Kazuha's suction radius is actually less than Sucrose and dramatically worse than Venti's. In terms of damage amplification potential as well as team output, I found that Sucrose and Kazuha have basically identical results. On the left is Xiangling Bennett Child with Sucrose, and on the right is Sucrose replaced with Kazuha, running the exact same set of artifact of course with full elemental mastery. You can see that throughout this run, they basically have the identical performance in terms of damage output. In almost every single team that I have played it on stream, I just find that either Venti or Sucrose can basically deliver identical or better performance, and the team I played it on stream include Overlord Kazuha, Vapor Shire, Morgana, Venti Kazuha, Kazuha, Jin, Hu Tao, the Lupir, Pyro, Taser, Firework, Melt Ganyu, or Shao, and Freeze team, and some other team as well. You can see that here, they both have identical clear time at 9 minutes at 20 seconds for the first Abyss floor of the Chamber Trough. And this is the same for almost every other team that I've played it. Basically, Sucrose and in some cases, Venti will have the identical performance as Kazuha, maybe with minor difference like 5 seconds earlier or 5 seconds slower. To give you a slight idea of what I was running full Elemental Mastery VV set with EM main stat, EM main stat, and EM main stat, with my Sucrose clocking in at 800 or 584 Elemental Mastery, while carrying a level 1 Dragon Slayer book. And my Kazuha was running the exact same set of artifact, with the only difference behind Kazuha was using a level 80 Iron String, and my Kazuha was level 80 instead of my Sucrose being level 69. Now I know a lot of people might complain that, oh, my Sucrose C6 is not fair to compare C6 Sucrose to a C0 Kazuha, and well, to that I say, if you rewind, you will notice that Constellation on Sucrose did very little. T6 was basically not used at all since I didn't use Elemental Burst to buff any of my teammate. The 2 level talent did nothing at all because again, Elemental Mastery do not scale with talent, instead only scale with level, which my Sucrose is actually at a lower level than my Kazuha. Moving on to C4, I did not really normal attack on my Sucrose, and therefore this talent did not matter, or this constellation rather. So arguably, C1 and C2 is the only benefit I really got from Sucrose, which are very minor. If anything, I felt like it was more unfair to Sucrose being lower level than Kazuha, because Swirl are dramatically dependent on level, as we have mentioned in Venti's video. So is Kazuha just a 5-star Sucrose? Unfortunately, to that question, I will have to say yes. And so if you already have Sucrose and you're comfortable with Sucrose, do you really need to roll Kazuha? The answer is actually kinda no. At this point, you might look at Kazuha and be like, damn, I'm so disappointed that he is just basically the same as Sucrose. And to that I say, well, it depends on if you see the glass as half full or half empty. And while it might be true that Kazuha is just as good as a C0 free-to-play Sucrose, the reality is that this is no fault of Kazuha. As I mentioned multiple times, Kazuha is still a very solid, very strong unit at 4 out of 5 for me. It's just that Sucrose is also a very strong or insanely strong unit, also at a 4 out of 5 for me. And of course, with Venti being a 5 out of 5 absolutely busted unit, it just looked like Kazuha is slightly lesser attractive. But in reality, Kazuha as a character himself is still very strong. And again, if you like his design, if you find him fun to play, I'll heavily encourage you to roll him and just play whatever is fun for you. Because again, Kazuha is so strong that as long as you're having fun, you will be fine. And it is not completely true that Kazuha is completely outclassed by other Anemo characters. There are still niches and areas where Kazuha does better than Sucrose and potentially Venti. It's just that those areas are so minor that realistically you won't see any performance difference. If anything, Kazuha is probably the most fun character I have in Genshin Impact, because he is so strong that it doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what jank team you draft, it will still clear content fine, similar to how you can just draft random jank team with Venti. On the screen is my triple Anemo team with Venti, Jin, and Kazuha, and to be honest, yes, performance-wise, it did not do as well as some of my other team like just Venti, Jin with legit support, but it's the most fun team I've ever have, just throwing out every single one of my Anemo ability and watching the Geovision fly around the map. On top of that, Kazuha is definitely significantly and more comfortable to use than Sucrose, even though their end results might have the same performance, and so that's another plus thing about Kazuha. And there are potentially teams where we have yet to discover where Kazuha is just strictly better than other alternative, like for example the Pure Pyro team. The on-reaction team like the Pure Pyro team can easily make use of Kazuha better than Venti or Sucrose in their team, so this is one cases where Kazuha can potentially be better. With the Keqing main free crafter, we just found out that you can actually potentially get a double swirl off in the Ganyu Melt team to boost the crowd damage of Ganyu while doing a Pyro infusion. Here you can see the initial Kazuha flash actually swore cryo, which buffed cryo damage for Ganyu. However, the follow-up infusion is actually pyro, which lets your Ganyu do a melt charge shot off those pyro infusion. And if we check the stat, you can here see that Ganyu did get the 58% cryo damage bonus from Kazuha. Kazuha's constellation are also a lot better than Sucrose and in some cases venti. Each one of his constellation see a very useful increase from getting a lot more energy regeneration, which fixes ER issues, to just getting elemental mastery, which overpowers Sucrose. In fact, potentially you can even run Venti Morgana on one side, and now that your Venti is busy, you're gonna run Kazuha Jean on the other side. After all, the only thing that better than one Venti is indeed two Venti. But this does involve a lot of 5-star characters, so I don't know how applicable this is to most people. Overall, I would say my first impression of Kazuha was actually quite good and he was better than I expected. Surely he might be overshadowed by other Anemo characters like Venti, but that does not fundamentally change that Kazuha himself is still gonna be a very good character, and I think if you like character like Kazuha, if you like his gameplay, then he is gonna be very comfortably a good pull. I'm sorry that this video is slower quality than the usual. I'm actually kind of dying with my COVID vaccine, but I'd rather push a first impression out so I don't leave you guys in the dark if you guys are wondering if you want to pull him. And that's it for this video, and of course don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think about Kazuha, and I'll see you guys in the future. You guys are about to see nastiest pull of your life. Kedehara Kazuha! We're here! Whoa! What? Wait, first pull? First 10 pull? Yo, it's that easy.